one right here. The decision by LeBron James was cowardly, and Kobe Bryant gets omitted out of history. Wow, this is crazy. So, as the LeBron James, era, I really wouldn't say era. I would say the LeBron James, circus show comes to an end. We're starting to hear stuff and see stuff that, really they should have been saying a long time ago. And the fact is that, now, ESPN and Fox, they're trying to deal with some accountability. Like, they shouldn't have been dealing with this a long time ago, folks. And I saw a video the other day, and this guy has, he started making like a series on what happened in different eras in the NBA, from the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, 90s, 2000s, 10s, and 2020s, obviously, right? So I don't think he hasn't did the 2020s. But, when he got to the 2000s, he said, because they had to give it some type of expression or, some kind of name of the era and what it was known for and stuff like this. And, they said the 2000s is the least talked about era of all time. That's crazy. It's the least talked about era of all time. Wow. And we know why, folks. It's because of Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant basically had two different careers of greatness in the 2000s while LeBron James ended his career basically in the 2000s. We can go into 210 or whatever like that, but when we look at how the year started, it started in 2009 and went into 2010. So, and I say this all the time, at first, I didn't really, when I first got into this, a lot of stuff was like it was, you know what I'm saying? It really wasn't too much of a big deal when you looked at stuff until a lot of hate started coming from Unclutched Sports. So you really had to go back and look at stuff because, they really did omit Kobe Bryant, out of history, out of what he did in the 2000s. It was, one of the greatest runs of all time. We could talk about some of the rules changes and stuff like that, but dudes was really battling and balling and stuff like that in the 2000s. And it's a reason why LeBron James couldn't bring home a championship in the 2000s, even though they cut out. This is crazy when you think about it. They cut out defense, and LeBron James still couldn't win. He still couldn't win. When crunch time came, he still couldn't win, even though they cut out hand checking and stuff like that, because it was so many guys that came from the 90s that was still playing in the 2000s. So they were still accustomed to playing defense. Even if you came in the early 2000s, like LeBron James did, a lot of those guys they have been playing basketball for so long, like in college and high school and stuff like that. They played college and high school in the 90s. We know LeBron James did it, but I'm just saying the guys that came in the early 2000s, they played basketball in the college basketball and high school basketball in the 90s. So it wasn't like they cut out hand checking and things like that and these guys stopped playing defense. No. It did help LeBron James. It helped him a lot because, you couldn't really stop his movement no more, per se, physically by touching him. This guy got to the line a lot. By having no moves, just going straight to the damn basket. But we all know when the time came, he couldn't do nothing. When dudes just crowded the paint. And people back then, they would take charges and stuff like that. So he was kind of at a slight disadvantage right there. But yeah, that just tells you something that, this is the least talked about era of all time. When it was, when he went through the era, it was a lot of greatness going on from, Spurs turning into a dynasty, Shaq and Kobe three-peat. Some of that was questionable, but it happened. They might not have, it was, well, you could really say the Sacramento series maybe. I don't think the rest of them were questionable as far as whatever. We know about Donahue, whatever like that. But, when they made it to the finals, they were dominant. Even though the opponents weren't really, all that great, you know what I'm saying? Still, they did what they had to do. You know what I'm saying? And that's the case with LeBron James. They talk a lot of trash about this guy did do this, and this guy had this, and this guy, blah, blah, blah. But the fact is, these guys did what they had to do as a winner. They weren't melting down and choking a lot of these all-time greats when it was right there on the plate to take. It was theirs. Whatever advantage they had, they did it. They did it. That's the problem with LeBron James. He was supposed to do it in Cleveland. It never did the first time. And then when he built his super teams, he didn't do it. He didn't do it, folks. He didn't do it. You put yourself at the super advantage, and you couldn't even do it. So that's the problem with the Unclutched Sports machine. Goes around and talks about this guy had this, he didn't play this, and he had this advantage. Okay, let's just go with that. Yes, if they did have the advantage, a lot of these guys came through. They came through with their advantage. They wasn't choking it up and doing this and doing that. They came through with their advantage. This is what he set his sights on. So he wouldn't have to be clutch coming down the stretch. He can put it in somebody else's hands, and if they didn't come through, he could blame somebody else. And that's what's so crazy about it. Like, who the hell would want to play with? They changed the mentality of these guys into, I don't know, man, because ain't nobody in the 90s gonna want to be blamed for a superstar's, shortcomings and what he can't do and all this crazy stuff like that. What happened? What happened to the LeBron James era guys? What happened to them, man? These aren't men. These aren't men. And that's why I say sometimes, when he went to Miami, I think the NBA turned into a, somewhat of a production. And I was listening to this yesterday, and I didn't even know this. AOH's show, I think they were doing it live, him and Sports and Fitness Rants, but they were talking about the decision was in Connecticut. And they were like, what? They didn't know that. They found out the decision was in Connecticut. I said, see, I told you this whole thing was, I said it a long time ago. The decision was a production, and then the NBA turned into, somewhat of a production after LeBron James, made the decision. The production continued. You don't remember? Not one, not two, not three. So it was a production. But yeah, it was in Connecticut where ESPN headquarters is. They were like at some Boys and Girls Club in Connecticut. So I'm like, what the hell? And when he made the decision, he said he was going to Miami. And you can hear the kids in the back. And I always say this, you can hear the kids in the back going, oh, they couldn't believe it. They were like, oh. They couldn't believe that this guy was giving up and going to cheat. They couldn't believe it. You're trying to tell, guys, I'm trying to tell you, I don't even know if that was real. Because if you look at this guy, that year, when he was in Cleveland, it don't even really look like him. It looks like a similar person, but it don't look like him that's sitting down doing that interview. It don't. It looks like a similar person, but it don't look exactly like him. So we don't even know if this was AI deepfake or something like that. And we got to ask ourselves, when we talk about this production, what was so important that this guy gets a decision production? What was so important? This guy hadn't even won a championship. He just melted down as a two-time MVP 2 years in a row. And he had the number one seed overall in the NBA. He just did that. Now he's got a decision? What? It's not even like, you're telling me that this guy just won even if he had just won one championship. But no, they act like this dude just came off a back-to-backs or something like that. It was leaving Cleveland with a decision. What? They act like he was leaving Cleveland after winning 2 championships and breaking our hearts, because he wanted to go to a bigger city, play with his boys. I don't know. He did all he could do for Cleveland, you know what I'm saying? Because they had to have a championship, and he just won back to back or whatever. He even won. But instead, he had a decision on live for what? You failed. Why should you get a production to tell the world after you just got done melting down and choking, and you did this all throughout the 2000s, and Kobe was sitting there cleaning up? Kobe cleaned up, brought home gold in the FIBA when you couldn't. Kobe brought home gold in the Olympics when you couldn't. Right? Kobe went, after you got swept, Kobe went to 3 straight finals. And then won back-to-back with no top 75 teammate. And one guy who Paul Gasol only made 1 All-Star appearance before he came to Kobe. So he wasn't even no future Hall of Famer. He wasn't even a future Hall of Famer. Right? So he might not even go to the Hall of Fame if he don't go play with Kobe. Right? You're trying to tell me Ilgauskas was a one-time All-Star before he played with you. The year before you came, Ilgauskas was an All-Star. And then your second year, Ilgauskas was an All-Star again when you didn't make the playoffs. Right? And then you had another guy, I forget his name. I don't know why I always forget his name. He made an All-Star, if I'm not mistaken, in 2009. He made an All-Star team. And then you had an array of guys who didn't make All-Star teams with you in Cleveland the first time, but they were All-Stars in a career. So you played with many guys who were All-Stars in their careers, or All-Stars with you in Cleveland. And this is what Kobe Bryant got, a guy who was a one-time All-Star before he came aboard. I mean, give me a break. Give me a break. This was your best. Remember when he said, why go play with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh? He said, it gives me my best chance. My best chance to win. What? Your best chance to win is with a super team. What? To shut down the East. To shut down the East. And win with a super team. Now, how stupid this is. A lot of people forget to talk about this. But in 2009, the same Orlando team that, he choked down to, they beat Boston. Orlando beat Boston. Nobody wants to talk about this. We don't care about injuries. No, we don't care about that. Kobe Bryant was dealing with injuries in those finals. Kobe Bryant was on his last damn leg. You go into 3 straight finals, you are on your last leg, homie. You're playing against 3 top 75 players, you're on your last leg. Don't tell me about no injuries. Don't tell me about no injuries with the big 3. You still got a big 2 in the rest of these guys that's on the team. Orlando did not have no big 2 when Orlando lost one of their guys. I don't want to hear about that. All that. Okay. What about 2008? I think it was Bryant was out. Nobody didn't want to hear no excuses. Nobody didn't want to hear no excuses for Kobe. So I don't want to hear no excuses when Orlando or when the Celtics lost to Orlando in 2000. I don't want to hear no excuses. It's weak. Just a game of basketball. And then, LeBron James went up on them 2-1 in 2010. LeBron James took that fully healthy Boston Celtics squad to a game 7 in 2008. This was the first year that they were together. Took them to a game 7. If I'm not mistaken, they were down. They were down 3-2, I think, something like that. And all LeBron James had to do was be efficient. This dude shot in the damn 40s. I think he shot like 43%. It was something crazy. It might have been lower than that. All these turnovers, all these missed free throws, just poor 3-point percentage, all this stuff. And he still took them to game 7. So again, all he had to do was be efficient. And he was going to the finals. Maybe. I think, if I'm mistaken, I think that was his second round. I think he maybe would have had to play Detroit anyways. And he would have played Kobe Bryant. So that big 3, mighty Boston big 3 wasn't that mighty, folks. Yes, they were. You got to remember, these guys were old. They came together because they was old as dust. Them as an individual player, Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, and Ray Allen, no knock against them, great in their prime, but they were unable to lead a team to a championship. Hell, they never even got to the damn finals individually. They never did it. So they came together. They was old, especially Paul Pierce and Ray Allen. And, they became strong as a core. But they was running around the court old as dust. So was Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant came in at the same time as these guys. Okay? Kobe Bryant came in at the same time as these, except for Paul Pierce. But, when you play in the 90s, that shit was a grind. And then you go into the early 2000s, it was a grind too. So these guys, the wear and tear on them, by the time it came to that point, 2007, 2008, I mean, it's a different grind. That was a dead ball era and all that stuff. And, it slowed down to a grind. It wasn't the LeBron 210, 2020 era. You get yours. I'm not going to play defense on you. You get yours. Don't play defense on me, and I'm going to get mine. Or just dudes running to the three-point line, chucking up threes. Dudes was running baseline to baseline. You had actual head coaches that will pull your ass off the damn court if you did something wrong. LeBron James had no more skills. It might have been even worse. Had no more skills than Kobe Bryant coming into the NBA. I mean, that was just a fact. It was just a fact. So, LeBron James, I don't even know. I don't even know where to put him if he played in those late 90s and, early 2000s. Like, I'm not for sure, man. We saw he couldn't even make the damn playoffs his first 2 seasons in that East. It got weaker than ever. And, them not cutting out the defensive rules and all this stuff, I just don't. He might have been a bench player, man, especially in the 90s when Kobe Bryant came in there. And to me, we can always look at why Kobe Bryant was a bench player. Kobe Bryant was a bench player because, to me, he made himself a bench player. If he would have went to, one of the weaker teams where he's going to get drafted, he would have started. But he went to LA. Tons and tons of talent. LeBron James ain't fixing to go to no top tier team back then and start coming out of high school with the skill level he has, or he had coming into the NBA. Now, he might have if he went to a bad team, but he went to LA. It all worked out that at the end. If Kobe don't go to LA, if Kobe don't develop, Shaq's career is what it is. He probably never makes it to the finals. Again, and history is just I don't know, man. Let's say Kobe Bryant goes to, the team that was going to draft him. I think Kobe Bryant wins more championships than Shaq. I really do. I think Kobe Bryant wins more championships than Shaquille O'Neal. I just do. He really wasn't doing nothing over there with, what's his name? Nick Van Exel and Eddie Jones. Yes, they were good, but I'm talking about when they got to the pinnacle. When they got to the mountaintop. No. And, Phil Jackson really came to change that team. I mean, he just came in there, organized that team and said, this is what we need, this is what we need to do. And it was just tough in the 90s, man. Even, when Michael Jordan retired and stuff like that, they still couldn't even beat the next year. The shortened season, they couldn't even beat the Spurs. I mean, again, if LeBron James got swept by the Spurs, if he got swept by the Spurs in 2007, well, how tough do you think that era was in 99 with the Spurs winning? LeBron James couldn't play in the 90s. It's a joke, folks. The league had just become so weak in the 2010s, and you couldn't even do nothing like that in the 90s. You couldn't even do the stuff that he did, the decision. Where was, you got to think too, when the decision happened, where was the representation for Kobe Bryant? Because I can't find nothing, folks. you guys know I put up a lot of clips of, ESPN and stuff like that when they first start these debate groups. And I have a lot of stuff where they're talking about Kobe Bryant and, what was it, First Take and First and 10 and stuff like that. But there's nothing mentioned about Kobe Bryant the day after he won the championship. There's no shows. If somebody has any clips about ESPN, First Take, First and 10, whatever, somebody send me the footage. I see no footage. Every time I see Kobe Bryant's championship 2009 or 2010, I type in ESPN or, associate that, put First Take or First and 10. There's nothing. There's no video footage of ESPN talking about Kobe Bryant and what he had to go through after he beat the Magic or after he beat the Celtics to win back-to-back. There's no mention. There's no show the day after. We have shows the day after LeBron James lost to Orlando, lost to lost to the Celtics in 2010. And there's no show the day after of LeBron James losing, to the Mavs in 2011. There's nothing. So they done omitted, erased, covered up a lot of that footage for Kobe Bryant. And, because somebody told me that it was people out there on ESPN saying he's the greatest player of all time, right behind Michael Jordan, all this stuff like that. And they don't want to let a lot of this stuff go. You got to remember, I got was it video footage? I don't think it was video footage. I think it was an interview that was on paper or something. But Stephen A. Smith, he knew that LeBron James was going to go to Miami before the decision was even announced. That summer in 2010, he said on his radio show he was going to Miami. And nobody had the skinny on that shit except for Stephen A. Smith. And he said he was going to play with Chris Bosh and all that stuff. So they had the skinny on that, man. They already knew and stuff like that. Stephen A. Smith. And it ain't just a coincidence that, the next season, 2011, 2012 season, that, Stephen A. Smith will come aboard via Clutch Sports, and, he began paying from Clutch Sports. So let me get off here. I can say a whole bunch of more stuff, but it really don't matter, man. We gotta remember they omitted Kobe out of history. And again, they were talking about the 2000s. It's a reason. They don't talk about the 2000s because Kobe Bryant did incredible things. And get this, folks, before I get off. Kobe won in 2000. Well, let me say this. He won in 2 different decades. But the fact is, he won at the beginning of 2000, which is crazy. And then he won at the end of 2000. The first year of 2000, he officially won. Yeah, I know it started in 99, 2000, but it ended in 2000. So he won the first year of the 2000, which was 2000. I say that right? He won the first year of the 2000s, which was 2000. And then he won the last year of the 2000s, which was 2009. And he won the first year of the 2010s. I mean, has this ever been done, folks? That's crazy. That's nuts. I don't think it's ever been done. And that's what I'm saying, how they can omit this guy out of history, basically, for what he did. You imagine if LeBron would have did that the first year of a decade, the last year of a decade, and the first year of a decade again? I mean, Kobe was like, this is Kobe Bryant. That's crazy. I don't even think that's ever been done in sports. Wow. Wow. And he brought home gold for the Olympics in both FIBA and the Olympics. And he beat LeBron James' LeBron James' opponents that he couldn't beat. And LeBron James had the number 1 seed overall in the entire NBA. It's just crazy when you think about what they did. And he had to play all the best competition just to win those rings. Whether it was in the West the first time in 2000, or it was that was in the league at the time in 2000, and then the year 2000, and then again in 2009 and 2010. he had to play the best competition in the league, which was in the West. Wow. LeBron James should be promoting Kobe Bryant. LeBron James should be promoting Kobe Bryant. That's nuts. And let me get off of here, but if you go back and look at some of these interviews, I don't know where I put them, but it was Kobe Bryant that was LeBron James' idol. LeBron James says many times that he went to Kobe Bryant's camps and he looked up to him as an idol. He didn't look up to Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan just a name that he throws out there. He didn't look up to Michael Jordan. He was too young. He saw Kobe play. He even said in one interview, Kobe Bryant was his idol. He looked up to Kobe Bryant. But he just uses Michael Jordan, you know what I'm saying, because he's Michael Jordan. He didn't look up to Michael Jordan. And, because he was too young, he didn't, that wasn't his idol. It was Kobe Bryant. If you go back and look at these interviews, he tells us.
The mission is to close, and you've got LeBron James here who needs to be taught how to become a killer. Is there a better teacher than the Black Mamba? The Black Mamba in South Beach? Because you got to remember, he is in Hollywood, and he's a 5-time champion. So if he went Hollywood, it's completely justified because he's got the credentials and the cachet to validate it. But he's still focused, ain't he? Every year, LA, right down the block, and he's still focused. Could you imagine what that boy would do with LeBron James? It's something to think about, and that's all I got to say.
That's all? After you blew the rundown completely to bits? we're 7 topics down the list now.
Provocative, though, isn't it?
Oh, it's incredible. It was quite a speech you just made. Dwayne Wade and LeBron are just too good of friends. They are just too close for their own good. There's way too much of, I'm going to get you yours, and I want you to be this, and I want you to be that, to a fault. They're very, truly, genuinely close friends.
And that is why I'm going to turn you to my mode of thinking on this, guys. Because we all know one thing. Kobe don't have that problem.
It does not have that problem with anybody.
Let me tell you something Let me tell you something right now. If LeBron shows up in South Beach with Kobe Bryant as a teammate, and for some reason he shrinks beneath the spotlight, he will hate Kobe. Because Kobe's going to come at him. He's going to come at him. He's going to come at him.
Here's my question.
He's going to come at him.
Here's my
he's a
concern
grown
about
man.
your deal. And I like your deal because it could be one of those classic good trades for both teams.
Both teams.
Yeah, but here's my problem. You say Kobe can close, but is his window closed?
No.
Is it closed?
Absolutely
well, I don't know.
You answer that.
I'm scared about it. I don't know.
He looked pretty good health-wise.
Let me tell you something right now. Kobe on his own has a legit 2 years left in him at this level. But with LeBron, you can double that.
All right, that's fair.
Because it's LeBron.
But don't bring me that Kobe will teach him the unteachable, because you cannot learn the clutch gene. I've said it a million times. You just can't. LeBron will be he'll go chosen one to frozen one. It would be up to Kobe to do what Dwayne Wade has not been able to do so far.
I'm going to say this to you. Completely different position. Doesn't even equate. But wasn't an accident that Andrew Bonham elevated this year. Okay?
Yeah.
I mean, when Kobe, you got somebody that can get it done.
Okay.
That's in your face about what you need to do. Jordan with Pippen. Pippen, what was he when he first came into the league?
Thank you. I've been saying he's not a top 50 player.
He had the migraine headache.
He's not a top 50 player.
He had the migraine headache in Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals in 1985 when Jordan's on a bus and his late father, God rest his soul, is busy hugging his son, and Jordan is crying, talking about when we going to get over the hump, when we going to get over the hump. And Scottie Pippen had let him down, and all of a sudden they came back and they started steamrolling over everybody. Why? Because Jordan elevated Pippen. It can be done. It can be done. It can be done.
You realize what you just admitted?
It doesn't matter.
Scottie Pippen is not a top 50 player. Thank you.
Just because Jordan elevated.
I don't think he said.
Yes, he did.
No, I didn't. Just because Jordan elevated Pippen doesn't mean Pippen's not there. He still got there.
No,
he still got there.
Best player in the NBA?
Kobe Bryant.
Better than you?
I would have to say right now. He's a really, really good player. Individually, he has some of the best skills that the NBA has ever seen in history. And he's shown year after year after year why he continues to be one of the best players in our league. I'm getting back.
Bryant, and one guy's certainly envious of the way Bryant's played lately, LeBron James.
I scratch my head every time I hear the name Kobe Bryant right now, and I try to get a dictionary and try to find a word that what he's doing right now, and I'm just lost for words. I mean, he's amazing. I've been quoted saying that he's definitely the best player in our league. To me, in my eyes, the best scorer in our league, and it's unbelievable. I don't know if it's not another guy in this league that can accomplish some of the things that he's doing right now.
well in Cleveland this past week. So let me ask both of you. Kobe, you start. Tell me how you see LeBron's game developing after just going up against him this week.
I mean, he's an incredible player. I think, his size and, he's meshed with his quickness and his leaping ability, his passing ability, his shooting ability. I think he's a tremendous all-around player.
LeBron, how's Kobe doing these days?
Well, like I've been quoted in the past, and I will continue to be quoted, I think he's the best player in our league right now. What he's able to do offensively and defensively is, it's unbelievable. And I look up to a guy like Kobe Bryant just because of what he's able to do every night he goes out on the basketball court. So, once again, I'm quoted again saying that Kobe Bryant is the best player in our league.
You will know when you win in that one-on-one against LeBron.
That's what I think. One-on-one is that's easy for me. That's just like playing one-on-one is that's how I grew up playing. That's like my thing. LeBron is more like a Magic Johnson would say. He's a great passer. He plays all-around game. At the core of me, I'm a one-on-one player. I do that in my sleep.
Let's go back to Saturday, gentlemen, if we can. I know you're probably salivating a little bit here, Skip.
Skip, how you doing?
LeBron did not shake hands with the Magic or address the media after the game. Shake hands. LeBron did not. He did talk yesterday, though. Finally, take a listen to some of what he had to say.
Have you talked to Dwight? I mean, you didn't shake hands with anybody last night, but have you talked to him to congratulate him or no?
No, I haven't. I sent him an email last night, congratulate him. But one thing about me, guys, you gotta understand. It's hard for me to congratulate somebody after you just lose to him. I'm a winner. It's not being a poor sport or anything like that. But somebody beat you up, you're not gonna congratulate them on beating you up. That don't make sense. It don't make sense to me. I'm a competitor, and that's what I do. It don't make sense for me to go over and shake somebody's hand.
He says it's not about being a poor sport. A lot of people would disagree out there from comments I've seen. What's your reaction?
Scoop, I, for one, was not at all surprised by this. This was, to me, the real LeBron James. This is who he is, and to me, who he has been. This is the spoiled brat product of those billions of witnesses out there. This is the guy I've been talking about as he's been the front-running bully all year long, and he finally got punched right in the mouth, and he ran to the locker room in shame. I have been saying for months on this show that all this picture taking and the posing and the flexing, it just doesn't show any class to the game on the court or to his opponents, to me. And it finally all caught up with him because I think the MVP suddenly realized when the clock ran out that he had failed miserably. And I thought it showed even less class to duck the media after the game than to duck Dwight Howard's handshake because he left the guys he had called all along his complimentary players to face the music after the game. No class there and no class on the court didn't surprise me.
Well, see, I can understand that. I think this is a situation where if you're looking at somebody's character, they always say you judge them how they handle defeat as opposed to how they handle victory. And in this situation, for LeBron to say, for us to know him is to know that he doesn't like losing and shake somebody's hand doesn't make sense. Well, I think in his career so far, there have been 4 times I think he's been in the playoffs, and he hasn't been to the finals, so he has not won his last game. Unless we go back and somebody shows me proof that he's consistent in doing this, then I don't have a problem with it. If he never stood or shook hands with the Celtics after the game after they lost last year, cool. If he did the same thing in San Antonio a couple of years ago, he was in the finals, cool. But we know that didn't happen, so we're not making a big deal out of nothing. This is something, and this goes into his character, which I think is not. It goes to what you've been saying. This goes to something I never wanted to believe. And his action and then his response to try to justify his action leads me to believe that there's something about LeBron James that we're either discovering or something that has to change because I don't mind ducking the media, Skip, but Dwight Howard is supposed to be your friend. Not only did you win a gold medal together, during the All-Star games, you all are cool with each other. You joke, shooting half-court shots before games. As your boy, as your friend at least, give him a pound and then walk off the court. The media is one thing, but if that's your guy, at least acknowledge it because this isn't about competition.
Wish him luck in the next round.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, anything that comes with some type of human connection because it's not about competition. It's about acknowledgement at this point. And the fact that he didn't acknowledge somebody that he knows that is supposed to be his friend, that's what I have a big problem with.
For the record, the Cleveland Plain Dealer said he didn't shake hands after the Celtics.
I was going to say, a lot of people have written in and said he didn't shake after the Celtics.
Okay, but I know for sure that he and Tim Duncan did have a conversation after that, and Tim, they shook hands after outside the locker room.
LeBron used as his excuse here, I'm a winner. I don't think he's a winner. I ask you again, what has he
wasn't
won?
a winner in this
Well, that's what
series.
I'm saying, but he hasn't won anything in 6 years now, to the point that I don't see that he has winners' intangibles, the know-how, the will to make it happen when it's time to happen in the fourth quarters of these games. And we'll get to this later, but in 5 of the 6 fourth quarters, I thought he was awful when it was Kobe-Michael time. And in the end, I think he's a one-man show in a team sport, and it's very hard to pull that off.
A lot of people are weighing in on what you guys are saying. Ray from Texas says LeBron has to face humility after dancing, prancing, and posing, blowing out teams. He has to be humble and shake his opponent's hands after a loss.
To what you have to say, because what you've been saying over the last couple of years is proven once again to be true. LeBron James will not play for an NBA title this year. Whether or not he will in the future, we don't know. But let's get to our list. He almost had a quadruple double, which isn't a good thing because the turnovers were there, but he also, the points, rebounds, and assists were there as well. Grade his performance, so overall grade for LeBron James in Game 6. What is it, Skip?
I'm going to give LeBron a break today because he did have a triple-double, including 19 rebounds. So I'm going to give him a D-, and that's D as in dog minus.
That is a break. I thought for sure you had him for an F-.
The stat of the night, as you said in your setup, was that he did almost have a quadruple-double. In a do-or-die game on the road, a game that people had favored them to win from the start of the playoffs, LeBron James had 9 turnovers. And what shocked me the most was that at least 6 of them were shockingly unforced errors. They had nothing to do with defensive pressure, and they just took the heart out of his Cavaliers, I thought, because I saw a Prince James that once again was crumbling under the pressure and the expectations to be King James. And I want to point out, Jay and Rob, that the Cavs cut it to 4 with 8:37 left. And that was
back-to-back threes.
Because he made a couple of threes. Now that broke an 0 for 10 three-point string for LeBron, and the second one was about as awkward-looking a three-point shot as I've ever witnessed. But it did go in. And all of a sudden, Rondo is feeling the heat from LeBron James and misses 2 free throws. Absolutely. And LeBron comes right down and turns it over for the 8th time again and crushes the momentum, and it swings the other way, and eventually Pierce hits the three-pointer, and it's over. In the last 8 minutes of that game, LeBron James, the 2-time MVP, took 3 shots total. He ran from the ball way too much. One of the shots he made, which was an uncontested dunk. And yet, in the last 2 minutes, Rob Parker, I saw LeBron James give up. And in turn, his team gave up.
The whole team did,
They all just said, okay, if you're giving up, we'll stop. We won't foul. And this was in a way that I could never have imagined a Michael Jordan or a Larry Bird or a Magic Johnson or even a Reggie Miller giving up with the game still a little bit in the balance.
For any winner.
Anybody.
Because you're right, Skip, from that standpoint. I have him as a C- because I thought the turnovers were just crushing. You know, I understand the other points, the rebounds, that's all
The
fine.
shooting percentage was 8 for 21, which was actually the same percentage the team shot, but you've got to shoot better than 8 for 21.
But you can't be so sloppy with the ball. And I think you're right. There was a definite giving up at the end where the Celtics had missed some free throws. You get them to miss 2 or 3 free throws in a row, you knock down a couple of threes.
Especially with Rondo handling the ball.
There's a chance that you're still in the game.
Absolutely.
I was stunned that they just said, and you're right, but they were signaled by LeBron James, who at the very end, look at where he was. He wasn't touching the ball. He was pushed all the way out. I just thought to myself, he's not engaged at all.
Right.
And the final minutes, it was each time he held the ball, the first thing he thought to do was to get rid of it. Like he
hot potato. It was a game of hot
I think you hit the nail on the head. He raised the white flag first, and you could see it. You could see it when they stopped fouling. The whole team put the white flag up. It was something. I think everybody was stunned as they watched that. All right, how much damage did LeBron James do to his reputation with this series of basketball?
Look, obviously, for me, as you well know, all too well, it just confirmed everything I've been saying about him for 3 or 4 years on this show, and so much of it I've been criticized for because I've been unfair and over the top when I talk about LeBron James. And so, Jay, just let me say, for the record right now, I'm offended when people dismiss me as a hater. I don't like that term when it comes to LeBron. If you want to use it in the big picture, that's fine.
And it's used towards you a lot, okay, when it comes to LeBron James and others, too.
As God is my witness, I don't hate LeBron. I don't know him well. You know him better than I do. But I get the feeling he's really a good guy, nice guy. Maybe he's too nice of a guy. But please don't kill the messenger, because all I ever do, and have tried to do from the start with LeBron James, is just watch closely and tell the truth about what I see. And truth is, from the start, I saw Batman talent, supreme talent, the biggest talent I've ever seen in the NBA. But the intangibles are much closer to Robin. He's Robin more than he's Batman. He's Pippen more than he's Jordan.
I think that's a legitimately fair point. If I may speak for those who throw the arrows at you when it comes to haters, answer this, because I think this is something that a lot of folks that listen have a problem with. We understand that there are shortcomings in the game. It's obvious. If you watch him as closely as you have, they are there. But the D- is to automatically dismiss a line, Skip, 27 points, 19 rebounds, and 10 assists. Now, yes, the turnovers are inexcusable, and the shooting percentage was pathetic, but A D- implies that he is the worst student in the class. That's where I think those that come at you with that hater line, I think that's the problem that they may have.
We're back to Michael Jordan. I feel like he begged this comparison because he did choose number 23 and he's going to change to 6 next year, but he did steal the powder throwing routine, and I thought he shamed the number 23 the last 2 games, and that's my legacy for him right now because that's all I have to go on. But
well, you have other games.
I know, but he was lifeless in those last 2 games. To the point, I'm saying he's the fake MJ. He's the 2-time MVP with 2 times the best regular season team by far to me, and the prohibitive favorite going into the playoffs. And twice now I've gone, okay, I'm going Orlando in 6 last year over Prince James.
You got them both.
And then I'm going Boston in 6 because he can't stand up to the pressure. The higher the expectations, the worse he performs.
Right. Now, this is, you talk about damaging his reputation, and I think he did damage it, especially the Game 5 was even more, where people just really lost their minds on what he was doing and couldn't put a finger on it.
A lot of head scratching to the disconnect of it wasn't there.
Totally. I think today, people should appreciate Michael Jordan more than ever before because, and I'm not saying it's LeBron's fault, because people always want to make a comparison, totally, Skip, to Michael Jordan. And when you look and now start to compare the notes, how hard it is to win and what it takes other than just pure basketball talent, which we know LeBron has, it tells you about that gene you always talk about that Michael has, that you got to question now whether or not LeBron really has it.
I think those questions are fair.
And I think this is what I got. Just 2 minutes ago, I'm in the cafeteria. Young 20-year-old black guy who is a LeBron fan, and those are all the people who you hear from who are all on LeBron's the greatest, said today for the first time, you know what? I think I'm going to be off this bandwagon. He is not Michael Jordan. And I think people are going to finally buy into what you've been saying for a long time.
Let me bring something up quickly, because you have always made the contention that it was LeBron who welcomed that upon himself. Truth be told, he was the chosen one, as dubbed by Sports Illustrated. The mass media, Skip, from the time this kid was 15 years old, was saying, as we so unfairly and often do, here he is, the next one.
I don't believe that LeBron James discouraged those.
No, he didn't discourage it, but at 16 and 17 and 18-year-old, do you know how to do that?
Okay, what we've seen now, period, end of story. LeBron James was made for the regular season. He's a regular season dynamo. He's made for our Sports Center plays of the night because he's always #1 in the regular season. But come postseason time, he's the most overrated, overhyped superstar in my history in this business. Seriously. That's my bottom line to this discussion.
That's a very fair, I would say that's fair. I would say that's fair.
He doesn't have the...
Dwayne Wade, just 8 points, a new career playoff low for him. The Mavs use a 21-9 run over the last 10-plus minutes of the game to win this and even up the series. LeBron, again, just 8 points. How do you explain this?
Rob, last night we saw the same LeBron James who went into a trance and crumbled under pressure in Game 5 last year against Boston, even in the second half of Game 6. This was the equivalent to me of an NBA panic attack, going blind under the pressure. 0 for 1 in the fourth quarter with 2 killer turnovers? Are you kidding me? On the NBA's biggest stage, in LeBron James' biggest moment, once again, he was exposed for how few superstar intangibles he has. Most talented player in the NBA, but no killer instinct, no rising to the biggest occasions. I still say the reason he chose to go to Miami was so Dwayne Wade could win him a ring or 3 or 4. And up 9 with 10 minutes to go, it sure looked like Dwayne Wade was taking LeBron on his first championship ride. So I'm not going to criticize LeBron for not scoring in this game because I don't expect him to score big in a game like this. Yeah, he got nervous-handed again, started bricking shots. He was even missing layups in the first half. What shocked me was that LeBron James went comatose on defense. After Jason Terry had called him out the day before, he went deadheaded on defense in the fourth quarter and let Jason Terry get loose for 8 points that should have been maybe 10 or 12 or 14 points in the fourth quarter. And finally, I don't mind, again, that LeBron doesn't shoot, but I do mind that as the point guard of this team, he quit creating shots in the fourth quarter. Not one time did he get in the lane and create an easier shot for a Dwayne Wade who was getting double and triple teamed the whole fourth quarter.
Skip, this disappearing act is more inexcusable than last year, and I'm going to tell you why. You're on the precipice of winning a title. Up 3-1, right? I mean, it's a big game. LeBron, before the game, we saw the video. We should be playing like our backs are against the wall, even though we're up 2-1. Remember, he told everybody? And yet, in the fourth quarter especially, it was like a Where's Waldo. I didn't even know he was in the game. I'm looking for him, and you're right. It wasn't just, I think people can live with having a bad night, shooting, playing, making some mistakes, doing things, but he just was disengaged. How can you be disengaged in the biggest game to put your foot on the Dallas Mavericks' neck and go up 3-1 not to be engaged?
Is it possible that his early struggle is what disengaged him? You know, once you get off to that bad start, because I think a lot of people out there will say he had a bad game, worst time to have a bad game, but he had it. Is it possible that then, more so than the other nervousness of a playoff?
I'm not blaming him for shooting or not shooting in the fourth quarter. I don't care about that. But he did early on. He drove for what was going to be a layup, and at the last second, he airballed it.
Right.
And it's like, okay, so you're having a bad night, so quit shooting. That's fine with me.
And your other point about the defense, let's be honest. Jason Terry had open looks.
Yeah.
Where was LeBron? He had open looks. He could have knocked down, like you say, another six or 8 points.
And as I said yesterday, I said this. It doesn't take the clutch gene to play great shutdown defense. So at least if you're having a bad night, you can shut down the 6'2" guy that you're guarding in the fourth quarter. Are you kidding me? It got so bad that even on the last play of the game, Mike Miller had an open quick pass to LeBron in the corner for an open three. And Mike Miller said, no, I'm going over here. Because they just said.
Does it bother you that so many people are happy to see you fail?
Absolutely not. Because at the end of the day, all the people that was rooting on me to fail, at the end of the day, they got to wake up tomorrow and have the same life that they had before they woke up today. They got the same personal problems that they had today. And I'm going to continue to live the way I want to live and continue to do the things that I want to do with me and my family and be happy with that. So, they can get a few days or a few months or whatever the case may be on being happy about not only myself, but the Miami Heat not accomplishing their goal, but, they got to get back to the real world at some point.
He was at the Ohio State-Duke game last night, played in Columbus, Ohio, and to not many surprise, he was booed by the fans there to watch the game. He was there with Dwayne Wade. Later, the two teamed up to throw T-shirts out, PR move. I don't know if it worked. Can LeBron James ever regain his popularity? He took a big hit with the decision.
Sure he can. If he exercises the opt-out clause in 2 years and goes back to Cleveland. Sure, he can do it then. But outside of that, no. And what LeBron James needs to do is develop some alligator skin. Stop trying to be loved, okay? Because that's really what this is about. Look, man, they don't like you in Ohio. It's because you turned your back on the city. Now, I don't have a problem with you doing it. To me, Cleveland, South Beach, the choice is simple. I'm not hating on that at all. You could have handled it better, but clearly, you made the right decision for you, and that's cool. But if you're going to wear the black hat, then wear the black hat. Skip Bayless on many, many occasions has brought up the name Kobe Bryant. You want me to tell you the number one reason why Kobe Bryant, they boo him in every arena, but he's cheered in every arena as well? Do you know why that is, Jay? It ain't just because his skills. It's because he could give 2 cents about what you think. He is coming to take you out. Whoever it is that you put in front of him, Kobe is on a mission to steamroll over you. He don't care whether you cheer for him. He don't care if you shake his hand. He don't care if you don't ask for autographs or pictures or whatever. If the cause of your hatred has something to do with basketball, he could care less. And LeBron James
will
has to
feed off your booze.
He will.
Yeah, you actually have.
Absolutely.
I feel sorry for LeBron James, and I'm being sincere about this. Why? He doesn't want to be a villain. He does not want to embrace the hate, as you say. He's not a mentally tough kid, and he's still a kid at heart. He's almost childlike to me. He's not thick-skinned. He's thin-skinned. He wants so badly to be loved, and he can't be loved. He does the wrong thing at the wrong time. He can't stand up to the pressure in the fourth quarter of the NBA Finals. He turns into the frozen one, and it's predictable to me. And then it's pathetic. It's sad to me that he goes to the Buckeye game and he sits in the front row in his Buckeye colors, and they boo him off the court when he walks in. And then he has to stick around after the game, and he and D-Wade got to throw T-shirts to the crowd. Love me not. Love me not. Right?
Do you think if he had it to do all over again, he would either A, do it differently, go to Miami,
do it differently.
under a much different circumstance, or stay in Cleveland?
You know what? If he had it to do over again, I think he'd stay in Cleveland. I think this has crushed him. It's not a happy place for him anymore.
You think he would have done it
I think he would have done it differently, but I ain't going to think that he would have passed up on South Beach. I'm just not believing that. But I will say this, again, he's got to get harder. Not only that, that's what it's going to require for him to win the world championship.
Yeah.
Because you have to understand, you got to have that edge. Yeah. Listen, instead of trying to act like you're a champion, why don't you imitate champions? Why don't you steal something from them when it counts most? You know what? Study
capable.
Kobe. Yes, he is, and that's why I'm staying on him. That's why I'm not letting him. It's not because I don't believe in him. It's because I do believe in him. He is too supremely talented. He may be the best talent in the world. You know what? You just got to get that heart, man. Stop walking around like the Tin Man syndrome. I mean, what is wrong with you?
Can't buy one.
Come on, man. He got it in him. Just peel it out. Suck it up.
You can't go.
Wear the black hat.
You can't go see the
Wear
wizard.
the black hat.
There's no wizard.
Wear the black hat.
Is there a wizard, Jay?
Wear the black hat.
No, there's no wizard.
Wear the black
I'm
hat.
with you. I think you're born with that killer instinct.
Come on, man.
You're not.
You got to come with it. And you know what? If he doesn't have it, he won't win a title. Or if they do win a title, it'll be because of D-Wade and
Thank you.
And by the way, LeBron James, let me say this one last thing in front of this camera because this is very, very important. It is not enough for you to win the championship riding Dwayne Wade's coattails. If he's the MVP of the NBA Finals and you show up smaller than Mini-Me like you did for 4 straight fourth quarters of the NBA Finals, it still won't get by us. You can walk around with that ring and think you got something all you want to. You had damn well better be the reason the Miami Heat win this title. I'm talking, he's got to show up. He's got to make amends for not showing up in that NBA Finals last year. You got to get it done. I don't care what you do between now and May. I don't care what you do the first week of June since the Finals has been moved back for a week. You got to be the reason that the Miami Heat win the title. If you ain't, I don't want to hear from you, and nobody else should either. You got to get it done.
You sound like Stephen.
You got to get it done.
You sound like Stephen.
No, that's not good. Skip says he won't. Skip says he won't and he can't. I'm saying he can. He just hasn't done it. Get it done.
LeBron James, you should thank God for Dwayne Wade.
Agree with you about LeBron James being a better talent. My problem is we don't take the intangibles into consideration nearly as much as we should. And let's look at it from the analysis that you threw out there about Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. Well, Larry Bird to me was a better individual talent because he could shoot considerably better than Magic. He was a fabulous passer at the forward position as well. And obviously he won championships, just not as many. The reason why you love a comparison like that, Max Kellerman, is because both of them could be relied upon in the clutch to do whatever it is that they do to accentuate their greatness. Whoever they were, whatever made them great, they didn't leave that at the door when money time arrived. When we look at LeBron and Kobe, that's where I think we part ways. Because even though LeBron has matured to that point where there's no longer a question about that at where he's concerned for a lengthy period of time in his career, it was a huge question. I have religiously stated for the first 46 minutes, I'll take LeBron James over almost anybody in the world all time, with the exception of maybe Jordan. And even that is a maybe. The problem is that when you get to that money time, that clutch, where you sit up there and everything breaks down and you grab the ball and you say, here, take me to the promised land. LeBron is not somebody that's going to be on that list most of the time in a lot of people's eyes. And nobody is going to question that Kobe would be on that list. When money time arrived and it was time to give him the ball, whether it was in the finals against Indiana, whether it was 2001 in the postseason, whether it was 2010 against Boston, or times in between, Kobe at a younger age was so sensational. LeBron had to grow into that role for a significant period of time. And that's the difference. What LeBron learned to have, Kobe had, MJ had. And here's the last point, Max. LeBron was pushed to that elevated level of play. Kobe took it. MJ took it. These are guys that you knew from the moment that moment arrived, they belonged there. LeBron was pushed, coached, nurtured, tutored into that elevated position. That is the difference. Number one, Michael Jordan never, ever once said he's the greatest ever. No one has ever heard that out of the mouth of Michael Jordan. So, in other words, whatever his standard is, it's applicable to anything that he says, because Michael Jordan has never said, I am the greatest who ever lived, okay? So when people sit up there and say, well, Michael, if you're bringing that up, that means Bill Russell was better than you. Who knows? Michael Jordan might say, sure, okay, no problem. He's better because he's got 11 rings. Yep. That's Michael Jordan's standard. That's number one. Number two, I've said this on many occasions, and I'll say it again. LeBron James is an absolute freak of nature. He is one of the greatest we have ever seen. From a talent perspective, he's top 2, may go down as number 1 all time, okay? I would take LeBron James all day, every day, and twice on Sundays for the first 46 minutes. But with the game on the line, it's a whole bunch of players that I would take ahead of LeBron James. And Kobe Bryant would be one of them. Last 2 minutes, game on the line, postseason action, things of that nature, I'm rolling with Kobe. And when you think about Michael Jordan and what Michael Jordan has to say, I think it's incredibly important that everybody understands the standard with which he's measuring stuff by. It's not just about the number of championships. It's about actually winning them. There's a whole bunch of cats that can contribute it, but there are very few who can close the deal. Kobe Bryant was one of those people who could close the deal. We saw it when they won their first championship, when Shaq had fouled out and Kobe Bryant had to take over and play against against the Indiana Pacers and take control. What we're saying is we also look at him, he was waiting for this moment, talking about this moment, salivating for the moment, whereas LeBron had to be pushed and prodded to that point. He had to go to South Beach. He had to play with D. Wade. He had to sit up there and be lectured and tutored and counseled by a D. Wade and Pat Riley. And then after he did that, they had to convince him, it's your time. You're the best in the world. If you remember in 2012, there was an all-star game taking place, and the game was on the line. This is after, Max, you'll remember this. This is after LeBron James and the Miami Heat had lost in the finals to the Dallas Mavericks. And D-Wade and these boys are proud of them. It's your time, it's your time, it's your time. It's the all-star weekend. It's an exhibition. Nothing is on the line. LeBron James has the ball at the top of the key with Kobe guarding him. And instead of taking the shot himself, he tried to throw a pass, and it got picked off by Blake Griffin. And Melo got in his face, and Kobe got in his face, and D-Wade had got in his face. They're like, what are you doing? So all I'm saying is, my last point is this. All I'm saying is the level of greatness that they were willing to embrace and they were salivating for, LeBron had to be pushed towards. And if you are Michael Jordan, you take that into consideration when you think about how you rank a player.
What do you mean in terms of value? And when you say LeBron eclipses Jordan, I'm sorry, LeBron eclipses Kobe. Eclipses Kobe. I'm sorry. What do you mean by that? What do you mean eclipses him in value? What are you talking about?
He's going to be higher on the all-time list. If you had to pick one or the other, you're starting a team, you're going to take LeBron. As you point out, a lot of that has to do with LeBron's superior size, which is true. He's 6'8", 250 plus. But it also has to do with the efficiency in scoring. LeBron's an incredibly efficient scorer. And also the defense, because LeBron defense improved throughout his career to the point where he could guard effectively all 5 positions. He's almost like a Dennis Rodman kind of figure at his height in terms of his defensive value. And in addition to all that, he has the passing game of a Magic or a Bird, the kind of passing game, the genius for passing that Kobe doesn't have. So I'm talking about its value, the one who brings you the most wins or the closest to a championship all by himself, the one who fits in best on the most different kinds of team, the one who's going to be ranked higher on the all-time list. Value. Jordan's one, then the question is, where does everyone else fit in? LeBron is going to end his career as the first non-big you mention after Jordan, and Kobe will fit in with Bird and Magic somewhere below that.
Well, the reason why I asked the question is because I think that while you're right, we need to understand why. There's a lack of appreciation for Kobe in this respect. Kobe played with Shaq, so because 3 of those rings came with Shaq, that's going to be held against Kobe to some degree, which almost justifies why he had this insatiable appetite to prove himself away from Shaquille O'Neal. He didn't want to pair with him for the rest of his career because he didn't want to be, identified with just him. He wanted to establish his own aura of invincibility and what have you. But the other thing also is that we don't take into account what LeBron did. LeBron didn't win a title until he joined Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. He didn't win a 3rd title until he joined Kyrie Irving. He got Kevin Love to come from Minnesota as well. And so when we pay attention to those kinds of things, as great as LeBron is, we also act too much like it's just LeBron. But LeBron was very adroit, very skilled, very smart in who he decided to join forces with. And that had a lot to do with the success that he ultimately was reaping. Now, he doesn't deserve to be excoriated for that because it's a team game and you can't win by yourself. But he went about the business. He didn't inherit anything. He put himself in a position as a free agent where he went to in Miami. He came back to a situation in Cleveland that was conducive to winning. He stayed within the Eastern Conference throughout his career because it's been considerably weaker than the West for pretty much the last decade. We've got to pay attention to all of that too, whereas Michael Jordan had Pippen and had to groom and elevate Pippen, Mr. Migraine Headache at the time before he ultimately elevated himself into being one of the 50 all-time greatest players and a 6-time champion along with Michael Jordan, because Michael Jordan could not have won without him. And in Kobe's case, he got Pau Gasol that came on board. You still had Andrew Bynum, Lamar Odom, and all of those other guys. But LeBron had his crew of individuals as well, and it proved to be very, very beneficial to him. But we don't bring that up nearly as much as we bring it up with Kobe. Bryant isn't considered the best the best ever because obviously MJ and him played the same position, and we're going to think MJ first, and I get that. But it's not like you look at LeBron James because LeBron James is playing the same position and has the same responsibilities as Kobe. We look at LeBron James as the greatest small forward who ever lived, the physicality that he brings to the game, him being 6'9", 260, chiseled brick house, can handle the ball, a Magic kind of player in terms of pass first, all of this other stuff, even though he has an obligation to score. People look at him differently. One of the biggest reasons that LeBron James is compared to Michael with Jordan is because LeBron James came into the NBA giving everybody indications he was coming for Jordan. So the reason why those are the reasons why those comparisons, because if you look at Kobe's game, his game mirrored MJ more than LeBron's ever did. It's just that LeBron announced to the world he was coming for MJ, and that's why everybody looked for those comparisons.
If you think of what MJ and Pippen did with Phil Jackson, which is one, go 6 for 6. Now take just a little bit of air out of MJ, just a little bit. Stop, plug it up, right? And do this to Pippen. Turn him into super Pippen.
Again,
you think they're losing?
You're looking at it wrong. You know why you're looking at it wrong? Because neither Kobe nor LeBron played defense better than MJ and Pippen. Neither of them.
It would be slightly lesser defensively and even better offensively. And on the whole, a LeBron-Kobe pairing in their primes would have been even better than MJ and Pippen.
Well, again, you're wrong and you're misinformed. Why? Because you're not bringing into consideration the game that they played compared to the game that MJ and Pippen had to play. Talk about the culture, how far more physical it was back in the day. Let's see, what would MJ...
Make it even easier for Kobe and LeBron.
What would MJ and Pippen have done in this era in terms of how soft it is?
Killed it. But so Kobe,
and again, their defense is elite.
Here's the difference.
Defense is elite.
Here's the difference.
Pippen
is not on anyone's list of top 10 players who ever lived.
When the Lakers lost the championship, beat the Lakers for the championship. What happened in that series?
Who beat the
the Bulls beat the Lakers in the championship, the first finals. You remember how Pippen was picking Magic? Wait, forget all that. Pippen picked up Magic. And so if you guarded Magic, who's usually 6'9" and looking over defenders,
you think LeBron would have guarded Magic?
No. What I'm saying to you is that, but LeBron has never been the defender Pippen is. You do know that.
But Pippen is
not even close.
Pippen is a much more consistent defender. I'll say this.
Not only that, he's somebody that embraces playing defense.
No doubt. I wouldn't compare LeBron over the course of a season to Pippen as a defensive player. I will say this, in terms of versatility as a defender, LeBron is more like Dennis Rodman. LeBron at his best defensively could legitimately, capably guard all 5 positions. That's not LeBron at his best is an all-time great defender.
Once again, that's why you shouldn't be talking basketball, because you're bringing up what he could do. I'm bringing up what he has done. There's been plenty of times. I will never question the ability of LeBron James. There's nothing he can't do. He has shown a willingness religiously throughout the years not to accept elite defensive assignments.
If Kobe and LeBron played together?
LeBron James. He'd have benefited the most. I don't think there's any question about that. When you look at LeBron James and his greatness as a player, think about the adversity that he went through to get here. But also think about the fact that for years, he didn't really have anybody staring him in the face that was the living embodiment of accountability. Somebody that would be in his face challenging him to do what the hell he was supposed to do. Max Kellerman, and if y'all could get that footage for me that I asked for from y'all this morning. Max, I want you to look at this. This is I think it's a 2012 All-Star game. LeBron has the ball, all right? He has the ball. Kobe is D'ing him up. Face to face, right there. It's him and Kobe. And he tries to throw a court pass. And Melo, D-Wade, and Kobe are all getting on LeBron. Why? And even Darren Williams, of all people.
It's the All-Star game, brother. People want to see this.
It's the All-Star game, and what they were doing is, you remember, LeBron James had yet to capture a championship. And what was the knock against him? What are you doing? Take it. It's yours. This is your time. What the hell are you doing? I picked that moment and asked them to show that video because it crystallizes my point for this particular argument. Those years where LeBron James was maturing but couldn't get himself over the hump, was devoid of the killer mentality, was susceptible to what people said and what they felt, how he has openly acknowledged how it inhibited him for years. That's why he calls losing in the finals to the Dallas Mavericks his greatest achievement, because with his show The Shop, which I said was a very good show, he's doing a good job with it. The point is, he was saying it was his greatest achievement. Why? Because when he lost, that's when his whole mentality changed. He hunkered down. Pat Riley, D-Wade, everybody, they got on him. He had to ultimately embrace who he is, but also embrace the fact that you got to step up and embrace the challenge and take what is rightfully yours. If he were playing alongside Kobe Bryant, he'd have never had to go through that for that long period of time, because Kobe would have been in his behind from day one, demanding that greatness shined. It would have shined considerably earlier, and we might be actually having valid comparisons.